Right, so I'm just thinking about how global politics tends to become a mirrored reflection of how each individual sort of wants to view themselves. In the sense that there's a lot of interest amidst, especially I'd say middle-aged people who, look to global politics and really identify with certain actions or condemn certain actions or sort of try to assert what the country should or should not do. And I think all of this comes from a drive to look at how a country, how a global leader possesses a sovereign nation, and to either draw inspiration from or to impose one's own sort of sovereignty, how one possesses oneself onto that. Because it's a really interesting game, right? Like you've got all of these global leaders with these nations, massive nations. Some of them have more power, some of them have less power. And they're trying to play this really intricate game which has terrible consequences. And I think that directly mirrors the kind of instability, the kind of emotional instability all of us go through whilst growing up. And a lot of it tends to reflect emotional scarcity to a great extent, in the sense that, and emotional scarcity, obviously, material scarcity and emotional scarcity go hand in hand. It's not like they don't. Point being that if I were to capture it succinctly, a lot of the thing that drives individuals amidst themselves, a lot of the things, emotional factors, material factors, in fact, that drive individual behavior amidst other individuals in terms of how they possess their own self, their own psyche, their own mind, their own heart and soul. How they view themselves. Do they view them as sovereign not nations, but sovereign entities? Or are they prone to being manipulated by others? Or are they prone to manipulating others? So there are a lot of factors that you see, and all of these things you can actually see on a global scale. So there's sort of this emergent scaling up thing that's happening, that behaviors that are quite common amidst individuals can actually be extruded out, and you can extrapolate global behavior from those individual actions, because at the end of the day, there are only a few people who are sort of in charge of driving a country, piloting a country, in terms that you've got one man in charge, mostly, in most cases, one man or one woman in charge, and they're sort of overseeing the majority of the operations of the country. But there is usually someone that the buck stops with. And yes, at times they might sort of, outsource bits of their power, or rather give permission to other people within their command to sort of operate autonomously for a while. They're still the commander-in-chief. And so I think what people relate to is the actions of the commander-in-chief, which they sort of, I think they think of the commander-in-chief as like the decisive body that they relate with. If you think of it like mind and body, they relate the commander-in-chief with their own mind, and with the sovereign nation that they're trying to relate with is their own body and their own actions and their behavior and so on and so forth. And I think that gives it's like a macrocosm of like a macro model of exactly what happens at the individual level. And I think that's really interesting to note that.